Most people assume the biggest barrier to owning an electric vehicle in the US is price, or range, or maybe concerns about battery life. But for millions of Americans, the real problem is far more basic. They simply have nowhere to charge one. It's a problem many policymakers don't talk about, car companies rarely admit, and new EV buyers often don't discover until it's too late. It's called the charging desert crisis. And it's quietly becoming one of the biggest obstacles to America's electric future. To understand the crisis, you first have to look at how uneven EV infrastructure actually is in the United States. When you zoom in on a map of fast chargers, you'll see clusters of dense networks on the coasts, around major cities, and along a few well-traveled highways. But when you look between those clusters, everything changes. Massive gaps appear, regions the size of entire states that have almost no public chargers at all. For millions of people living in these areas, owning an EV isn't a lifestyle shift. It's simply impossible. There are a few major reasons this is happening. Reason number one, most Americans still don't have access to home charging. This is the part almost everyone overlooks. Roughly a third of US households don't live in standalone homes. They live in apartments, condos, townhouses, multi-unit buildings, or rentals without proper parking. In these places, you can't just install a charger. You need landlord approval, you need building permission, you need electrical capacity upgrades, and most buildings simply don't offer any of it. Even if you can afford an EV, you can't plug it in. This single problem is one of the biggest reasons EV adoption slows dramatically outside suburban neighborhoods. Reason number two, public charging builds where profit is guaranteed, not where need is greatest. Charging companies focus on areas with high EV density because it guarantees usage. Urban centers and wealthy suburbs get priority. That creates a loop. Chargers are built where EVs already exist, and EVs are purchased where chargers already exist. Meanwhile, rural communities, small towns, and lower-income regions get ignored. This is how charging deserts form, huge areas where installing a charger simply doesn't make enough money to be attractive. Reason number three, the US grid was never designed for universal EV adoption. Electric cars don't just need chargers, they need a grid capable of supporting them. And many regions still have aging transformers, limited electrical capacity, weak infrastructure, and power distribution systems that struggle on hot summer days as it is. Fast chargers require enormous amounts of power. Some stations need as much electricity as a small Walmart. Many local grids can't handle that load without expensive upgrades. This slows expansion dramatically, especially outside major cities. Reason number four, fast chargers are expensive, slow to build, and hard to permit. Installing a Level 3 fast charger can cost between $100,000 and $300,000 per unit. Add in grid upgrades, trenching, permits, and construction, and a new charging station becomes a major infrastructure project. That process can take months, sometimes years, and often gets slowed down by outdated permitting rules. For charging companies, this means building in remote regions is a high-cost, low-return gamble, and so the deserts stay empty. Reason number five, EV policy is built for cities, not the rest of America. Federal incentives and state policies heavily favor early adopters, many of whom live in urban areas with existing chargers. But EV adoption slows the moment you step into areas where commutes are long, distances between towns are huge, and winters drop temperatures to levels that reduce range. It's not that people don't want EVs, it's that the infrastructure ignores how the rest of the country actually lives. Reason number six, charging companies are competing instead of cooperating. This is something most drivers never notice. EV networks in the US don't work together the way gas stations do. Different companies use different software, different payment systems, and in some cases, incompatible hardware. It creates a fragmented system where some chargers don't work for certain cars, some stations require specific accounts, and reliability varies dramatically between networks. If you live in a charging desert, the last thing you want is to drive 30 miles to a charger, only for it not to work. Reason number seven, maintenance is a huge problem. One of the dirty secrets of the EV charging world is just how often stations break. Damaged cables, dead screens, locked payment terminals, slow connections. The issues are endless. And in places where chargers are few and far between, a single broken station can strand an entire region. This further discourages expansion into underserved areas. So what does this all mean for the millions of Americans who want an EV but can't realistically own one? It means EV access is becoming a two-tier system. Tier 1, people in cities and suburbs with garages, home chargers, and plenty of public stations nearby. Tier 2, everyone else, rural drivers, renters, lower-income communities, long-distance commuters, and millions living in states with minimal charging access. This divide is becoming a major challenge for automakers. They can't sell electric cars at the scale they need if half the country doesn't have the infrastructure to support ownership. And the truth is, the charging desert crisis is slowing EV adoption far more than range anxiety or battery price ever could. But the story isn't all bleak. Several things are beginning to shift. The federal government is investing billions in charging infrastructure through programs designed specifically to fill charging gaps. Automakers like Tesla, Ford, and GM are opening their networks to each other, creating a larger shared system. Charging hardware is becoming cheaper, smaller, and easier to install. Some companies are developing chargers that rely on solar or battery buffers to reduce grid strain. States are building corridor plans to ensure every major highway has chargers spaced reliably for long trips. Still, these improvements won't solve the full problem overnight. Charging deserts took years to form, and they'll take years to fix. But here's the key idea most people overlook. EV adoption doesn't fail because a few chargers are missing. It fails because entire regions get left behind. If the US wants an electric future that includes everyone, not just city dwellers and suburbs, then the charging desert crisis must be solved first. Otherwise, millions of Americans will remain locked out of the EV market, not by choice, but by infrastructure. And that's the real challenge behind America's charging gap. Not whether electric cars are good enough, but whether the country is ready to support them.